Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please find your seats and silence all communication devices. Today, the men and women of the United States Air Force, in keeping with one of the oldest traditions in the military service, pay special tribute to Technical Sergeant Michael S. Scott on the occasion of his retirement. After 20 years of distinguished service in the United States Air Force, the presiding official for today's ceremony is Major Michael J. Quinn. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the posting of the colors by the Honor Guard and the playing of the national anthem and the invocation by Chaplain Kagiri.
Post colors.
Stand by. Honors! Bench. I shall Resent. Who's? Allers. Allers turn. Hooch!
At ease. Shall we pray? Father in heaven, as we pause this morning to celebrate the service and retirement of Tech Sergeant Scott, Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the many blessings you showered upon him, especially his selfless dedication in service of our country, his untiring devotion to duty for 20 years, and for his family's support of his service. We thank you, Lord, for these blessings. Lord God, we thank you for Tech Sergeant Scott's success in serving well, serving our country and his fellow airmen. we who are assembled here are countless others who cannot be with us here this morning. We are all proud of his accomplishment, his resilience, and the part he played in providing acquisition support for the wing and for the tenant units. It takes an extraordinary person to confront life challenges and to be willing to sacrifice their life for complete strangers. Bless TSgt Scott with a good transition. Bless him with good health, so that together with his family, they may enjoy the fruits of their 20-year labor. Bless him with a comfortable, fruitful, and a joyful retirement. May Scott live service with head held high, knowing that although his place will be replaced by another American airman, he can never be fully replaced. And for we who are still on active duty, we pray, Lord, that you will bless us with a happy and joyful career, so that one day we too may celebrate retirement. Bless TSgt Scott, Tracy, Christopher, and James. Lord, be with them all the days of their lives. And we ask all these petitions in your holy name.
Thank you, Honor Guard members and Chaplain Aguirre. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We are honored to have many special guests with us today to celebrate Technical Sergeant Scott's retirement. First, today's honoree, Technical Sergeant Michael S. Scott. His wife, Tracy Scott. His son, James Scott. And Christopher Scott. His mother, Sarah A. Malone. And all his friends in attendance. Welcome our presiding official for today's ceremony, Commander, 17th Contracting Squadron, Major Michael Quinn. I would also like to welcome senior leadership in attendance today. Superintendent, 17th Contracting Squadron, Master Sergeant Adam J. Pine. We'd also like to extend a warm welcome to all other family and friends in attendance. At this time, we would like to ask Major Quinn to come forward to provide a few remarks about the distinguished career of Technical Sergeant Scott.
Thank you everyone for coming. Especially pleased to have Sergeant Scott's family here, his mother, his kids, and of course Tracy. It's been a pleasure, and this is a great moment for Sergeant Scott and his family today. 22 to 21 year career. But if you look at your program, I want to start and take you back in time a bit, around 95, 96. A lot of you weren't around that time, some of our younger airmen. But Sergeant Scott, he was in high school at ROTC. There's a picture in there, and you'll notice a familiar face, Tracy. That time, he was at Richmond in Texas. Before that, he grew up in Oklahoma, and at the age of 14, he moved to Richmond. Luckily, he had a great upbringing to where he thought well enough to come and join JROTC, which is Junior ROTC for high schoolers and learning about the Air Force and all the military functions. Well, you know, what do you do in high school? You do your grades, you do your studying, you hang out with your friends, and you do some dating, right? That's what most folks do when they're in high school. So I got an interesting story about how Mike met Tracy. So, you know, back in his junior year in high school, he had a girlfriend, and he happened to go over to his best friend's house. His best friend's girlfriend at that time was Tracy. So they're on a double date. You can imagine how this goes. Maybe you shot him in the eye, or he shot you, or I don't know. Maybe not. But somehow a year later, he negotiated probably the best deal ever in his life, because he started dating Tracy, and his best friend wasn't even mad at him. So think about that for a second. Your best friend. That's pretty unique. So they've been dating in November of '97, and it's coming up summertime where Mike's getting ready to graduate and thinking about going into the Air Force. And so he's thinking about that. He's thinking how much he loves Tracy, and he figures, you know what? I want to take her with me on my Air Force journey, so I think I want to marry her. So we go out on a date to Romano's Macaroni Grill. That's good for a high school kid, I think. You know, that's good. And you know, they eat. The dessert comes out, and then the rain comes out. Right? And when the ring comes out, Mike pops a question, and it takes Tracy 5 minutes to answer. You can imagine how long 5 minutes is. That's a long time. But I could imagine why it took her a while to think about it, because it's a big commitment knowing what he was preparing to do. And ultimately, she said yes. And off he goes down to Lackland for basic training, and then PCSs, his first PCS, Creech Air Force Base in Las Vegas. He is now an aircraft mechanic, and he's working on the MQ-1 Predator. So he's learning that job. He's naturally shy at this time, unlike he is now. But part of that maintenance culture is that they're very outspoken. They work hard and they play hard. And so he picks up on that. And also, when they work, they follow something called technical orders. It tells them exactly how to do the job, what tools to use, which way to turn the wrench, and how to replace the parts on the aircraft that they're working on. And so he develops that mindset at that young time, from 2000 to about 2005. In that period, you gotta imagine what's happening, 9/11. So we're picking up on deployments. He's an aircraft mechanic. There is no typical awareness of when you might deploy like it is today. You are vulnerable at all times, and there's more shorter 3 or 4 month deployments, TDYs. He's going TDY and deploying multiple times throughout that period, while having James there and Christopher with Tracy. So that's in my mind, a huge sacrifice that they're going through. Many of you who have deployed before with little ones, you can relate. In 2005, one of his deployments was to Kuwait City. At that time, Chris was about 4 months old. So he goes to Kuwait City, and one unique experience happens. One of the UAVs goes down. I think it's MQ-1. It goes down right outside of Kuwait City in the desert, buried in sand, and he's part of the team that's assembled to go back and get it as quick as possible, because it's outside the perimeter of location where the base is. So he goes with this crew. They have to work logistics. They have to get a crane out there. They have to disassemble the wings. The wings are like 22 feet or longer, each wing, the wingspan. That's about right? So they have to break it down. 10-hour job. No rest, no breaks. But he gets it done. Soon after that, he returns back home, and in 2005, his family heads with him to Korea. Or it wasn't no, anyway. So he heads alone to Korea. Another sacrifice during that time. Now it's a little bit different sometimes. But he's working on F-16s there. He's learning about those craft and the ins and outs. Afterwards, he comes back to Eglin, and he works on F-16s at the test fighter wing in Eglin for those years. He's learned the job. He earns a CCAF in avionics. Smart guy. It's not easy to learn how to take apart those aircraft and do those tests and progress through those courses. So the Air Force sees this, and in 2009, they mandate that he retrain to contracting with the help of his friend. Where's she at? I don't know where she is. She's all the way back there. Jeannie, with the glass, she's looking that way. She works an assignment for him to get cross-trained in contracting. And at the time, contracting was hurting. The enlisted force, even though they were offered high bonuses, some of those folks would say, I'm done. Because they were deploying left and right. So were the officers. And so we needed smart people to join us. And we saw TSgt Scott, and we chose him. He's laughing. But, and so he cross-trains, goes down back to Lackland to the schoolhouse, and he gets orders to Goodfellow. And he arrives here Christmas Eve of 2010. And so what do they pull out? They got unpacked beds, they got a couch, and they got a Christmas tree to celebrate Christmas. I'm sure some of you all remember that day in particular. Day after Christmas, he reports in. And so you gotta think about that. That's 9 years at Goodfellow Air Force Base. The mission has not changed. Train, develop, inspire exceptional intelligence professionals and support the sole joint DoD firefighting school. The office has not changed too much in what we do to support that mission, contracting-wise. We're buying supplies to support the schools here. We're buying services to support instructors. And we're maintaining and building new facilities here. So during this time, Mike rotates through all the flights that we have within about 5 years. He earns several awards to include the 2014 Training Wing NCO of the Year Award. He gets his BS by that time, which he's already had, in computer science. He gets his BS in acquisitions and contract management. And he also deploys once again in 2015 to Nigeria to support the MQ-1 Predator. During that deployment, he runs into one of the famous disruptors of our force, a guy by the name of Mr. Kevin Barnes, who is a professional disruptor. Basically, whenever we let these contracts, industry has a right to raise their hand and say, hey, that's not, I don't believe what we did is fair. And so this particular individual named Kevin Barnes, he made a business about doing that and disrupting our missions. And he screamed at different congressmen, had his name all in emails, but Mike survived that. Kevin Barnes can no longer protest, and he's here today. So you gotta think about all of the things that Mike and his family have sacrificed to get him and his family to where they are today. I know that James, you're getting ready to graduate in June. You're figuring out what you're going to do with your life, but you got great examples before you. Chris, you're thinking about joining the military. That's great. He's a junior. Hopefully you go in the Air Force. Talk to me. I want to know about it. But overall, Mike, he's not going to be gone too long from us because we were able to get him in a position to come back by the end of this month. And let me tell you, it's a lot of work to do that. A lot of work. But I saw it as my #1 priority to get it done. And the reason being because I know how hard he works. He's one of the most dedicated individuals as it comes to our mission. NCOIC infrastructure, NCOIC of the base operating support flight at one time. He's done a lot of work. So I appreciate all the sacrifices you have. I appreciate the sacrifices that your family's made, Tracy and the kids have made in letting him work for us. The nation appreciates the work that he's put in, and that's why I'm thankful for all the service that he's put in so far. So with that, let's get on with the ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Major Quinn. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the medal presentation and remain standing for the reading of the retirement orders. Attention to orders. This is to certify the Air Force Commendation Medal has been awarded to Technical Sergeant Michael Scott for meritorious service 28 November 2015 to 31 May 2019. Technical Sergeant Michael S. Scott distinguished himself by meritorious service as non-commissioned officer in charge, Base Infrastructure Flight, 17th Contracting Squadron, 17th Mission Support Group, 17th Training Wing, Goodfellow Air Force Base, Texas. During this period, Sergeant Scott's exceptional skill and professionalism were instrumental in leading 12 personnel in the execution of 467 contract actions, valued at over $59 million. His team's efforts enabled the maintenance and sustainment of $1.1 billion in base infrastructure. Additionally, Sergeant Scott oversaw the Air Education and Training Command Vice Commander's #1 priority, an $888,000 dorm camera project. His meticulous attention to detail improved the safety for permanent party personnel and 14,000 students annually. Furthermore, Sergeant Scott powered the unit through the end of fiscal year 2017 by filling the vacant Base Infrastructure Flight Chief position for 3 months. His oversight was essential in the management of a $23 million contract portfolio and the acquisition of 89 new contract actions. Finally, Sergeant Scott's outstanding leadership and savvy negotiating expertise contributed significantly to his squadron's recognition as Air Education and Training Command's 2016 and 2017 Small Contracting Unit of the Year and the Wings 2017 Unit of the Year. The distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant Scott culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect credit upon himself and the United States Air Force.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. The Department of the Air Force, Special Order Number AC 013012, dated 5 July 2018. By order of the Secretary of the Air Force, Technical Sergeant Michael S. Scott is relieved from active duty, organization, and station of assignment, and is retired, effective 1 June 2019, per Air Force Instruction 36-3203, in the grade of Technical Sergeant, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Major Quinn will now present Sergeant Scott with her certificate of retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. It reads, "To all who shall see these presents greeting. This is to certify that Technical Sergeant Michael Sean Scott, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of June 2019. Signed, Commander, 17th Training Wing, Colonel Ricky L. Mills, and Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General David L. Goldfein." Major Quinn will now present Sergeant Scott with 2 certificates of appreciation. The first certificate reads, "Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States to Technical Sergeant Michael Scott. I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history, with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. I trust that in the coming years, you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump." Next, Sergeant Scott will be presented with a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. It reads, "I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. Technical Sergeant Michael Scott, the achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes, a new one begins. I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Given the first day of June 2019. Signed, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Khalif O. Wright." At this time, we would like to invite Sergeant Scott's wife, Tracy, to join Major Quinn at the front of the room. Every retiree receives a special retirement pin as a memento of their active duty service. At this time, we'd like to ask Tracy to please place this pin on Technical Sergeant Scott's lapel to symbolize his transition from active duty to retired status. Major Quinn would now present Mrs. Scott with 2 certificates of appreciation. first certificate reads, "In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Tracy Scott for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts on the nation's defense. Thank you for your support, which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Given this first day of June 2019, signed Commander, 17th Training Wing, Colonel Ricky L. Mills, and Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General David L. Goldfein." Next, Mrs. Scott will be presented with a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. It reads, "On behalf of all Air Force airmen and their families, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force presents this certificate of appreciation to Tracy Scott. I join you, spouse, family, and friends in thanking you for the numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service in defense of our nation. Given this first day of June 2019, signed, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Leith O. Wright." Now, Technical Sergeant Scott would like to present his wife with a gift.
I know you don't like flowers that die, so don't kill us.
Thank you, Mrs. Scott. Technical Sergeant Scott would also like to present his sons with a gift.
Trying to figure out what to get for you two, since I swore y'all was fun. But since y'all are brats, I'm giving y'all your Air Force brat coin.
Thank you, James and Christopher. Thank you, Sergeant Scott. The commander would now present Technical Sergeant Scott's shadow box. Technical Sergeant Scott, your shadow box reflects your achievements culminated during your military career. Enclosed is what is known as the military member's most honored and cherished position. The United States flag, the flag to which you have so proudly served, so honorably defended. The flag to which we honor and serve under is the true emblem of our unity, our thoughts, our power, and purpose as a nation. Accept it, protect it, guard it, and ever remember that the young men and women you have trained, guided, and inspired will follow in your footsteps and defend it with equal pride. On this occasion, we consider we have lost a true leader while society has gained a fine citizen. Sergeant Scott, good luck and Godspeed. Thank you, Major Quinn and Sergeant Scott. You may be seated. The Honor Guard will now perform a flag folding ceremony. In honor of Technical Sergeant Scott, it will be presented to Sergeant Scott as a reminder of the Air Force core values. Integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. Values he so diligently displayed over his 20-year career. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars. While in the blue field Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence. Blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in training when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of the Air Force satellites that circle our globe and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are, and it stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. The flag will now be presented to TSgt Scott in honor of his unwavering commitment during his 20-year military career. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it is my distinct honor to introduce you to Technical Sergeant Michael Scott, United States Air Force, retired.
I did not prepare a big speech or anything like that, so I'm just gonna wing it, like the Air Force. It's been a long time coming. I know I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and I know a lot of folks give me like joshes and jokes because I've been saying for like the past 3 years I'm getting ready to retire. Well, I finally did. But along the way, there's a lot of people that helped me out. There's a lot, my wife and the kids, without them and their support while I was overseas, I couldn't have done it. Having somebody to come home to was, after those long deployments, was definitely needed. All my friends that I've met along the way in the military, both before military and after. Lorraine met Sergeant Batiste, met her over in Africa. I'm glad you made it out here. I almost got out of the military 3 times in my career. So that close. person helped me stay and get me to where I am now. Sergeant retired Jeannie Ernberger back in the back was instrumental in helping me get my retrain that I almost botched along the way. It's been fun 20 years. It's almost bittersweet leaving, but I'm looking forward to the beer my son's going to buy me. Sorry. Looking forward to serving as civil service and continuing to serve this great Air Force. Hope I didn't leave everybody out. I mean, everybody here at the squadron has helped me a lot. I know I'm kind of a pain when it comes to some of the stuff. I'm picky about the way I like to see stuff, so I'll try not to be that way as Mr. Scott. So, I'm not going to hold anybody else back from the food. We've got plenty of food. Eat plenty so we don't have to take it home.
Thank you for attending today's ceremony. We invite all of you to join Sergeant Scott and his family for a barbecue following the conclusion of the ceremony. Please rise for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of our official party and distinguished guests. Thank you.
So this has a joke in it too. This joke's for you.
Okay.
So when I first got here as a tech sergeant, you had a decoration hanging from the back of your chest. And I gave you a bunch of crap about it, right? And I was like, you got to take that thing off there. It's banned by the DOD. You can't have it on there anymore. So Sergeant Scott went home and hung a Crown Royal bag over it. So it sufficed. Tech Sergeant Deputy at the time, and I was like, all right, that will work. Well, it's getting tattered and worn out. So as a flight, we got you this. Not only can you enjoy what's in it, but maybe you can replace that bag. Yeah, don't drop it.
That would be bad.
And this is from Raquel and I. This is from Perini Ranch, Restaurant Avenue. You know it's our favorite. It's their cookbook. It's kind of our going away for everybody. I know you're coming right back, but that's from us. Thanks, man. Thanks for everything you've done.
Yeah, he's gonna need shoes as a swimmer. So I've known you for about 6 years. The entire time I've been here, like I said at the thing, you've been a hard worker. You've shown me things, believe it or not. Shown me a bunch of things. Learned a lot from him. Your dedication and hard work is unmatched, I think. So we've got some stuff on the flight for you. First and foremost, try to drop it. Got you the iPhone. Lights up. And then, of course, we got the plans and programs, mug, that we've traditionally done. So start drinking the beer with that. And then a card from the flag. Congratulations, and thank you for your dedication.
Thank you.
Instructions and all that shit.
Can we get the box?
Take the box.
There's the box.
Scott, you put stuff over here, please?
All right, so I wasn't expecting to get up and speak, but I've only been here about 14 months, and I've been working with Sergeant Scott, and he's probably caused me to go home and drink a few times. So now that I'm not going to have that same headache, I figured I'd pass a little something on to you. A little something from the Hines family to enjoy in your retired life.
There's nobody to speak again.
No.
Have a seat.